You're listening to the Be a Better Lawyer podcast with Dina Cataldo, episode 150. So how do high-achieving lawyers break through generations of being taught that we have to grind ourselves into the ground to get results for clients, build a successful business, and create a life we love? While law schools are busy teaching the rule of law, they're slacking on teaching us how to be a better human to create for ourselves the success we thought we'd achieve after law school. This podcast bridges the gap between law school and life. Hello there. Today, we're talking about the power of focus. Focus can be helpful, but it isn't always helpful. I'm going to give you common examples of how we easily focus on the wrong things in our practice. And in doing so, we can waste a ton of time and spin out in overwhelm and confusion and feel stressed out. We're also going to talk about some concrete examples of what's possible when you focus on the right things. When we know how to use the power of focus for our benefit and the benefit of our clients, that's when we move out of feeling overwhelmed and anxious and into the version of ourselves that creates exactly what we want for ourselves. I want to take a second to acknowledge something. 150 episodes of this podcast. Let's just sit with that for a second. 150 times doing anything consistently demonstrates focus. And I love hearing how this podcast has helped you over the years. So thank you to those of you who've left reviews or shared the podcast with your friends on Instagram or taken a time out of your day just to email me. I really appreciate it. I read everything you send me. I repost everything I'm tagged in. I appreciate your support of this podcast over the years, and hearing from you really keeps me going and doing every single one of these episodes. Us lawyers are powerful. I know there are lawyers listening to this podcast right now who run multi-million-dollar firms and close multi-billion-dollar deals, impacting thousands and tens of thousands of people. And there are the lawyers who are smaller practitioners who are impacting people in their communities and really have these one-on-one connections with people that they are helping in really big ways. And they love what they do. And there's also lawyers listening who are figuring out if they want to stay in the legal profession and question the value that they bring to the world. No matter where you are on your journey, I want you to hear this. Lawyers have a huge impact on this world as well as to the people who interact with them on a day-to-day basis. What we say and do has reverberations, and I want to ask you to take one action today that will make an impact on the legal profession. If you haven't left a review on Apple Podcasts and you've been enjoying this podcast, consider leaving one. It takes 90 seconds. The more reviews the podcast has, the more lawyers find this podcast because it boosts the podcasts in the algorithm. The more lawyers who find this podcast, the better the legal profession will become for everyone in it. When the legal profession improves how it approaches everything, then it'll attract and keep the best humans in it, and they are the ones who have a huge impact on the people that they are working for. And we need good humans running the world, right? You can leave a review in your Apple app by scrolling all the way down, or you can go to dinacataldo.com/Apple. And this would be a really great way to help me celebrate this 150th episode. I am so excited today because this message on focus really dropped into me while I was thinking about my clients the other morning, and it happened to coincide with this 150th episode. So you hear me talking in this podcast a lot about focus and showing you how to become more focused so you can create what you want. But when I was sitting at my breakfast nook writing, I thought about the impact of focus and really understanding that focusing on the right things is the opposite of overwhelm. And I could see with clarity all the accomplishments of my amazing clients when they use what they learned to focus their minds. I also saw the accomplishments I've created with learning to focus on the right things and how it's impacted not just my life, but how it's impacted the lives of people around me, because they are not interacting with a human who is a hot mess. I would totally describe myself as overwhelmed and stressed out early in my legal career because I had a confused brain that needed direction. Harnessing the power of focus doesn't mean that you don't sometimes feel overwhelmed or procrastinate. What it means is noticing when you're getting in your own way by focusing on the wrong things and then refocusing your brain over and over again on what you want to create, which is your desired result. Most of us know how to grind through an assignment, but when we're focused in the right way, we don't need to grind. We don't need to feel anxious. True focus eliminates overwhelm. True focus allows us to create what we want from a place of ease and not from a place of constant grinding or feeling like it's pushing a boulder up a mountain just to get through the day. And when I talk about true focus, it's the same thing as your true north, which I know I've referenced that phrase in other podcasts. Really focusing on your future self, the one who already has what you want. I want you to hear this because so many of us confuse focus with working late nights, confuse focus with working as hard as we can, confuse focus with working on the weekends. And if you are constantly working on weekends or aren't true to your word, there is something out of alignment. Our tendency is to blame the amount of work or the lack of time. When we do that, we're focused on the wrong problem. The real question is, why are you creating that as your reality? It's because of your current focus. I help my clients question what they've created for themselves and understand their brain, so that way they can focus on what they want in their reality, whether it's feeling less overwhelmed, working 4 days a week in their business, higher quality clients, boundaries with others, better relationships with their employees, or building an entirely new business for themselves. I want to show you that you can begin creating a reality where you're focused on what you want and you're able to achieve it because you have the right kind of focus. You're not focusing on impressing people at your office by working weekends. You're not focused on being available to others all the time, which interrupts your private time with your partner. You're not focused on the activities in your business that aren't creating results, like checking your email stats, taking time away from more impactful activities. When you focus on what's most impactful for your goal, that's when you see the biggest changes. I want to give you some ideas here on what focus can do for you, because the focus that you have right now might not be the one that serves you and gets you the result that you want. And that's why coaching is so impactful. I've seen how it changed how I show up in my life, and I see the impact in my clients' lives. I know when we shift our focus, that's when change happens. I want to talk to you about some of my clients right now and the amazing things they're doing now that they have the right focus in their lives. So my client Amin is building a business on top of her full-time legal practice. It's something that a lot of people would consider impossible. It's called Beyond Yoga for Lawyers, and you should totally check her out on Instagram. She has, within the span of 2 to 3 months that we've been working together, built a business where people are hiring her to be their yoga teacher. This is an amazing feat. She made back most of her coaching investment with me just 3 months into our coaching. Others look from the outside and see that she suddenly has a business and think that it's easy. They want to do it too. What they don't see is the mental work that she put into creating this for herself and her clients, as well as the compound effect of her focus on her personal growth and network over time. What they don't see is her continual focus on improving her legal skills and really doing an amazing job at her career right now and loving her career and loving the business that she's building on top of it. It can be done. What they don't see is everything that she has done for herself in terms of her personal growth. And she also knew that coaching was going to help her create what she wanted with more focus than she could have on her own. That's one of the benefits of coaching. When your brain wants to totally shut down and watch Netflix and sit on the couch, and it wants to do all the things except focus on the most impactful things on your business, and when your brain wants to tell you that you can't do it and it's too hard and there's nothing you can do, and maybe you should stay up really late tonight and just, play on your website and look at the fonts and look at the colors. That is when the focus comes in, and understanding where your most powerful focus is, because it's not on your website. I want to talk to you about Candace now, because Candace came to me overwhelmed, and she thought that what she really needed was a whole new organizational system for her files, and that was going to solve everything. Here's the problem with focusing on that first. When we focus on the external things like organization of, files or things like that, that's only one symptom of a bigger problem that hasn't been focused on. What coaching does is clean up all the thoughts that are the root cause of the disorganization. And once we do that, our actions naturally begin to change and we become more organized. The focus comes when we look at the thoughts that we have about ourselves and our practice. We get to determine which focus we want to have. Do we want to be focused on the thoughts that are unhelpful, or do we want to change our focus to the thoughts that are helpful? And once Candace focused on the thoughts that were creating the overwhelm, or she began creating space, and I should actually say she saw all the thoughts that were creating overwhelm, and she took her focus away from that. And that's when she began creating space to see exactly what she wanted to make in her practice, which she loves. And she started to see what would simplify her practice the way she wanted it to be simplified. Then she can refocus on the vision over and over again so she can create the result that she wants. We cannot make sustainable change until we change how we think about everything that's going on in our lives. If we don't see it, then we can't change it. And really what we're doing in coaching, and you can do this right now, is you can just pour all of your thoughts down on paper. And my clients are the ones pouring their thoughts out to me. And then we can start sifting through them, and you can begin taking out the ones that don't serve you, the thoughts, the focuses that don't serve you, and you can start changing your focus to those things that will get you where you want to go. And I want to talk to you about another client of mine, Jonathan. So Jonathan came to me with a goal of expanding into a new practice area for his firm. His goal was to create 4 new pieces of business in this particular area in 1 month, and he hadn't been able to hit his goal previously. We talked about where his focus was. What was he thinking about? What was he focusing on? When we did that, he could begin to see that there were areas where he was spending his time and energy where he didn't need to focus on. And there were other areas he was not focused on that he needed to get a closer look at. That's when he made the shift to figure out that instead of focusing on the doing, right, like just the grind, that there's a more important focus. Relationships with the people that he worked with that was creating some of the drama in his brain. And that drama was preventing him from getting truly focused on what is most impactful to his clients so that he could generate the result that he wanted. And once he did that work in our session and outside our session, he created the 4 pieces of business in 1 month. And he could look at it and he could say, yes, I've been focused on the wrong things. And then when he shifted his focus, he could see it. Focusing on the most important things is something that is totally learnable. You can repeat the process over and over again. Your brain wants to focus on all the little tweaks and focus on analytics and wants to do more work. But once we begin to unpack what you've been focusing on that's not working, we can focus your brain on what is working and how you can repeat that process. This work spills over into everything. As my clients are working on their results, I check in with them. Are they focused on grinding out work, or are they focused on making it easier for themselves? Because there's no point in just working. I mean, we're not robots. Part of the reason that we work is so we can enjoy other parts of our lives happening around us, to spend more time with our family, to spend more time with our partners, to spend more time with the people we love, and to spend more time really caring for ourselves. Why would we spend time focusing on the grinding and how hard we think it has to be? Why not focus on how we can make this process as enjoyable, as fun, as easy as possible? This focus is available to all of us. But you know what? It's not always there. We have to practice this. I mean, I'm a trained coach and I do this all the time, but I can see my brain want to focus on the wrong things. But the thing is I've taught myself to see it. And so I'd spend less time spinning in the overwhelm, and I can change my focus. I can recognize, okay, these are the journaling that I need to do so that I can change my focus. Focus doesn't always feel powerful. I want you to know this too. It takes courage to feel uncomfortable, and courage feels hard. But that's when the breakthrough happens. When it feels emotionally hard, we're breaking through barriers. We're breaking through the barriers we've put up to focusing on what's really important to us, what's most impactful to us. This might look like catching yourself scrolling through Instagram or checking your email for the 100th time today and reminding yourself that this isn't helping you create what you want. Your brain wants to scroll. It's easy, and maybe it'll tell you a story like, well, I really should see what my competitors are up to. And that's a bunch of baloney. Focusing on other people isn't the focus that will get you what you want. Focusing on what your clients need is the kind of focus that will help both you and your clients create what you want in your lives. And when we bust through those barriers, then and only then can we create what we want. This power of focus is essential to creating what we want. And when we learn this skill and we return to it over and over, we are focused on exactly what we need most in that moment. There's someone out there right now who needs to hear this. Maybe it's you. Maybe you felt overwhelmed or like there's just no way out of the place you are right now. You're working long nights. You're going into the office on weekends all the time. You're not sleeping. All that means is that your focus has been on the wrong things. That's all it is. Focus is so powerful. When you focus on the right things, it not only impacts your business, it impacts all of your relationships because we are human and we interact with other humans daily. When we give off the overwhelmed, stressed out, frazzled vibe, guess what we're going to create more of in our life? We're going to create more of that. Other people can't help but feed off of that we're the vibes that we're giving off. I have seen the power of coaching and focusing on my brain, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. I've moved out of feeling overwhelmed and stressed out and thinking that I needed to work harder and grind harder. It's not that those thoughts aren't there. They're still there. But that's okay because I can come back to my thoughts and I've decided that I don't focus on those ones anymore. I'm not looking at them and saying, oh yeah, that's totally true. I definitely don't have enough time. I'm definitely not working hard enough. I look at them and I say, that's interesting. It's so interesting that I'm thinking that way. That's where my focus is. And then I remind myself, okay, this is where I want to refocus my brain on what I want because those things that I'm focused on right now are not going to get me where I want to go. So when we question those thoughts, we can start to say, okay, that's not helpful. What is helpful? What do I want to focus on? I know where to place my focus now to get me the results that I want. When you start understanding that and practicing focusing on that, you can make changes. And that's the magic of this. The changes just keep coming. I am always having aha moments. I am always realizing that I can make things easier on myself. And that keeps happening. If you want help with this, that is what I do with my clients. And you can book a call with me, go to dinacataldo.com, and I can show you where your focus is right now and where that focus has got to change so you can create what you want, whether it's more time with your family, fulfilling a passion project, or having more money in your bank account. All right, I am done preaching today. I hope you have a wonderful week and that you took something from this that you are going to take action on right now. Recognize where your focus is. Recognize whether you are creating the result that you want with that focus. If you're not, that's when you need to start questioning what you're focusing on. All right, I will talk to you soon. Bye.